Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast and still flying solo for these NBA Finals. Josh Lander. We are going to jump into Game 3 as the series shifts back to Milwaukee. A lot of stuff to cover there, especially when you look at a ton of the splits between players and teams overall, those home and road splits, now that we're going to be seeing a shift in venue and location. As always, though, if you still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, make sure you head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find all those listings in your area. Still some playoff promos available for you, those of you who have not used them up. And make sure to like and subscribe to the page. Jump in the comments, and I'm going to go ahead and offer us a gift card opportunity right off the bat. Once again, Devin Booker, points, rebounds, and assists in this one. I'm going to be talking a little bit about D-Book and how he kind of slides a bit on the road, specifically with his scoring. But, points, rebounds, and assists combined means you can still obviously get plenty of rebounds and assists to make up for some of the woes that he has on the road in terms of his scoring versus that of his stellar play at home, specifically in the playoffs. So, make sure to see what we have there in store for you. And if you are eligible, to make sure you're eligible, like and subscribe to that page for that gift card. So just starting off with, as always, a bit of the lines here, specifically for Game 3. We'll just kick it off. It's interesting to me that on DraftKings, you can get Milwaukee -4. That is at -110 on your money. Same for the +4 for Phoenix on DraftKings. That is -110 on your money as well. Then you look at FanDuel, where it gets a little bit more interesting. Milwaukee is -4.5. That is -106 on your money, a little bit closer to even odds or even money there. And then Phoenix at +4.5 is -114, a little bit less for your money there. So it's interesting that if you do like Milwaukee, it seems to be that you might consider taking that on FanDuel if you have an account there. And then just moving on to the total. That is at 222 and has not moved. I will say the line moved about a point, at least specifically a full point on FanDuel from 3.5 to 4.5. So, people do seem to like Milwaukee at home. This is a huge turnaround, an 8.5 difference in the spread from the previous game, specifically when Phoenix was favored by about 5.5. So a pretty big turnaround, about 9 points or so, depending where you see it. And that's very interesting, as obviously everyone, including Vegas, is considering what the difference is in how Milwaukee plays at home versus on the road. So finishing with the series odds there, as far as this goes, Phoenix is now -470 to win it. Milwaukee +370, so that definitely increased a bunch for Milwaukee. And if you do think Milwaukee's going to win, you might as well go ahead and take one of them or both. Milwaukee in 6 is +1,000, and Milwaukee in 7 +700 on your money. So if you do like Milwaukee to still win the series, kind of seems spicy. And then Phoenix in 6 has actually stayed at +440, and those odds are still pretty good considering that's exactly what it was before they won Game 2. And if you think that Milwaukee is capable of winning at least 2 games here, Phoenix in 6 remains a pretty good bet for those who want to find a little bit more juice betting on Phoenix to win the series, since -470 overall is not obviously worth it for Phoenix at this point. And then just jumping into a little bit about what to expect, I think, from Milwaukee. Look, we know what we're going to get from Giannis. I said from the beginning of this series that he was unstoppable in this matchup in the regular season. That has only continued in the playoffs. I mean, 20-17 was a bad night for him in Game 1, and that was with still coming off of that hyperextended knee just days before. Looked incredible in Game 2. Still a lot of questions around whether or not his lateral movement. We still haven't seen that patented Euro step through the lane or just any kind of zigzag movement there to get around guys with his long arms. So we'll see if he's going to be a little bit better even there in Game 3. But I don't think there's any reason to think he's not going to continue his incredible scoring and efficiency all around the rim. 60% from the free throw line in the series. You don't like it that much, but he's still getting to the free throw line about 15 times. So still plenty of points that he's going to be able to muster there. I do like his prop of 32.5 points over that in this game. That's -108 on FanDuel, so pretty close to even money for him to get 33 points, which I think with his health being intact the way it is, at the very least, let's say 90%, that seems very realistic for him once again in a matchup that he's continued to dominate into the playoffs. And then you really hope that Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday both show up, because they need, honestly, both of them, which they do at home. They do a lot better at home. Really quick, I mean, the most glaring thing for Middleton is that he shoots 11 percentage points better from the field at home versus away, about a couple more points per game. And his three-point shooting improves as well, about 15 percentage point, which is just a ton. He turns the ball less at home, et cetera. So, his play, I think we can't expect him to get, to turn it around from especially Game 2, where he was absolutely terrible, 11 points, 5 of 16 shooting. Everyone's now seen seen plenty of the numbers on how bad he was. And Drew Holiday was no better, even though he managed to score 17 points. I mean, how many bunnies did he leave, on the rim or floating around it once he did get into the lane? He did that plenty. He just didn't finish, which is why his field goal percentage was horrible. But also, once again, his splits, 45% from the field at home versus 39 on the road, and his 3-point his 3-point shooting is also about 4 percentage points better at home. All of this is to say, I do think that these guys will turn it around. I'm not going to necessarily take any of their props, but considering what Milwaukee does at home versus on the road, they score 112 at home in the playoffs versus 107 on the road, and then they give up 109 points on the road versus only giving up 99 at home. And that's where I think you'll see a lot of their defense closing out a bit better on the three-point attempts for Phoenix, who attempt a few less three-pointers at home, on the road versus at home. We saw them go 20 of 40 from three in game 2. You have to think that's going to regress at least somewhat. But looking towards Phoenix a little bit more and what to expect from them, they are 9-3 against the spread as road dogs combined the season and postseason. And they're really honestly the same team on the road as they are at home. They're 8-2 in the playoffs at home, 6-2 on the road. They do score less points, but they actually play at a faster pace. They don't shoot as many threes on the road. You see a lot more CP3 trying to keep the ball in his hands, and that's why he actually scores 4 more points on the road than he does at home. And D-Book scores about 3 points less on the road than he does at home. They flip-flop there. You see CP3 really come in on the road and take things over and make up for, sometimes when Devin Booker disappears a bit here and there, especially on the road and especially in these playoffs. So that's why I would look at CP3 over 21.5 points. And I would look at Booker under 28.5 points. He only scores 21.7 on the road in these playoffs. And I think you'll continue to see him regress a little bit downward. And then look, Milwaukee, when in their wins this postseason, they score 113.8 points. In their losses, they score 102. We already mentioned that they're 7-1 at home, so that predominantly is because of their offense at home versus on the road. So that leads me to their team total at 113.5. I like over that because I do like them to win this game. And if they're going to win this game, I believe they're going to have to score over 113 points. I don't know how much they'll win by. I would be tempted to take Phoenix under 109.5 points in this game, specifically because of the fact that D-Book, like we said, scores a bunch less points on the road than he does at home in these playoffs, which leads you to believe that they're going to be a little bit struggling for offense a bit here in game 3. And that's why, honestly, I would consider a little parlay with Milwaukee to win -4.5, but over 222 is the total in this one because of the amount of points that I think they'll score. I don't think they'll blow out Phoenix by too much. I do think you'll still see Phoenix at least hang around, if not take a little bit back in the third quarter and keep this game at least somewhat close. But 4.5 doesn't feel too big right now, specifically with those nice odds on FanDuel and parlaying that with the over plus 257. Feel pretty good about that. And then, the last thing I'll say is just looking at Milwaukee in the first half. They've been down 0-2 already, right, to the Nets. They came back in game 3 roaring, and specifically in the first half. And I think you can expect that once again in this game. -2.5 is the spread for the first half for Milwaukee. It's only -142 on FanDuel, as I think, there's a number of other people probably eyeing the fact that Milwaukee is going to come out pretty hot here in game 3 and sizzle. But, I think 2.5 points is feeling good about that. It's just one possession that they need to be up at halftime. And I would say that's definitely doable for them, specifically looking at their history against the spread in the first half in the playoffs and regular season. Very, very good, well over 500. So, those are a couple of my favorites in this game. And, specifically looking at the fact that I think Milwaukee is going to come out hot on offense. So, play that accordingly. Maybe look at a little bit of a live bet there as well. If you do think Milwaukee comes out, they are up double digits at the half, you might expect CP3 and company to come out strong in the third quarter, as they always do. They've won a ton of third quarters in these playoffs, so that might be another little live angle for you guys. We'll continue to monitor what happens as these playoffs roll on. Not really too much to talk about in the way of injury at this point. We know who's out: Torrey Craig and Dario Saric for the Suns, and then obviously still just Dante DiVincenzo for Milwaukee. Big loss, but at least Giannis is back, and we have a series. I think 2-1 is what I'm hoping we'll see after 3 games. We'll be back with another video. Just a reminder to make sure to like and subscribe to the page. The gift card opportunity is Devin Booker's points, rebounds, and assists combined in this game. We'll see what we get from the young star. And until we are back with another video moving on to game 4, happy betting.